Who has pink VSKFs? My car is not the cleanest car by any means. If you really look at my car, it's aesthetically pleasing, but everything is bent on it. Drip and drift.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Drip and Drift podcast. My name is Nick, and today's guest builds cars, paints them, drifts them. Please welcome SX Mel.
Woo! Hi, guys.
What's going on? What you been up to recently?
Oh, man, life's just been crazy.
Yeah.
Up and down,
we did have
all
Dustin's
around.
party recently. That was crazy.
That was crazy. It was good, though. It was a great party. One of the best parties I've been to this year.
For sure, for sure. Shout out Dustin. Yeah. But, so, off the rip, your right-hand drive S13 hatch, is it JDM, or was that switched, or?
So the story behind the car, I actually got contacted by the original owner. The car was a left-hand drive car originally, so I'm sorry to break it to you guys. It's not a real JDM car. I don't lie to people about it, though. Anybody who asks, guys, my car is swapped, okay? But whoever did the swap, I personally did it. They did a really good job. Everything is in it. Underneath the dash has nothing missing. All the components has AC. The little AC like clock thing that comes in the 180 SXs that are really rare, it has it. It works. All I need to put is just like the lines, the compressor, and then
So they took their time.
They took their time. Yeah. My windows work, my power like mirrors work, everything.
But you did get it as a shell.
Yeah.
And you built it. I mean, you've been drifting it and you drove it here, so it's obviously working. Tell me the process you've went through, because I never built a car.
So I got that car off of a trade. I traded my 350Z for it. I had a DE that I had bought for $1,500. So Brandon was selling the shell for $9,000 at the time, and I had just a 350Z that was just sitting. I didn't want anything to do with it. I was really used to driving Camel Z. It wasn't a car for me, to be honest. It just wasn't me. Yeah. And I just let it sit there for 3 months. And then my buddy Tyler was like, hey, Mel, there's this guy with a right-hand drive hatch. You should try to trade him. And I was like, dude, I don't think he's going to trade me. He's not going to want a Z, you know? He's like, no, in the description, he says he wants a 350Z. And I was like, yeah, but my 350Z is ugly. Like, it has 6 different body panel colors. It has bash doors. Doesn't have a bumper. He's like, dude, just try it. You're going to get it. So I hit up Brandon. I offered him the car. I offered him a paint job on top of it, like labor. And he's like, yeah, come get it. So I went and got the car. Got it running the same night.
Dang.
Yeah, I had a SR20 that was supposed to go in a different car.
Okay.
And then
I was like, what? I thought it was a shell.
Backwards. My S14, I have another S14. I was supposed to put the SR in it. Okay. And then I was like, dude, I'm missing everything. Like, I don't have any wires. I don't have a gas tank. I don't have any lines. I don't have brakes. I don't have anything for this car. So I was like, perfect. The S13 has everything. I just put the motor in it and then rock and roll. And that's what we did.
Nice. And it's been good ever since? Or?
Originally, no.
Yeah.
So originally, it had a lot of issues. Come to find out that we timed the motor wrong.
Oh.
This is like 5 months after the completed. Like I drove the car. The car felt like it had 0 power. Like it would just not move and then try to stall. So I went through everything. I went to a harness, fuel pump, like ECUs. I changed ECUs, thinking it was the ECU. I went through everything and I was like, dude, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal with this. So in November, I saved up from like October to November, and I splurged on everything I needed for the car. I got a Haltech 2500. I got a harness with the ECU. I got fuel pump, injectors. A buddy of mine sold me an intake, like a bigger intake. I did everything to that car to make it run like a drift car. So, and then I took my time. I let it sit for a little bit while I, recovered more money. And then off the bat, just slapped everything on the car. Me and Kashad built the harness, put the ECU in, injectors, everything, and then took it to get tuned. And when we took it to get tuned, it made 100 horsepower. And we were like, what the fuck? There's something wrong here. We don't know what is wrong. Went back, Figured it was a distributor, or this distributor is on, no, cam angle sensor. Yeah, it's cam angle sensor on SRs. Figured it was a cam angle sensor. You're supposed to upgrade the disc on it because it can't read the RPMs correctly, right? Put it on, took it back to the dynoed again, 100 horsepower. So we were like, dude, what's something's going on here. Yeah. I was super frustrated at this point. It has been since September, mind you. I got the car running the same day. So imagine getting a car running the same day and not being able to drive it.
Right.
Like that hurt. And then on top of that, imagine spending $4,000 and then not being able to drive it. That hurt even more. Yeah. So after that, I just like, Bryce, keep the car. I figure out what's wrong with it. I want nothing to do with it right now. Then he calls me the next day. He's like, hey, Mel, your car is good. I'm about to dyno it. And I'm like, are you sure? Because if I go back there and it makes 100 horsepower, I swear to God, I'm going to set it on fire. He's like, no, I figured it out. Come check it out. So I got off of work. I got off of work early for this. I get it there. Car makes like 300 off the bat. And I'm like, whoa. Because, I mean, SRs make what? Like,
I don't know.
100? No, barely. Like 190, probably 200 tops. And I was like, this is good. Like, this is great.
It's really good.
And then did it again and again and again. We're at 330, 328 torque, which is a lot of torque for my car. Nice. Usually SRs don't have like that much torque, especially now with the fake intake I have.
Okay.
It's fake, guys. I promise. I'm not going to lie about anything I have.
So you got big wheels. So you kind of need that.
I have, but I don't drift on those, to be honest. Like, the big wheels and big fenders, like, the look is crazy. I absolutely love those wheels, but they're just not really practical for my drifting. They are, like, 12 inches in the front.
Oh, wow.
13 in the rear.
Yeah, that's insane.
That's really big. So, but all in all, when the car sits on those wheels,
it looks great.
Perfect.
Yeah. So how did it all then start for you? Like, because that obviously wasn't your initial diving into cars. You had an S14. You still have that?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that in a while.
It's sitting in my garage. Yeah. And I love that car, but I honestly fell in love with my S13. Like, I've considered selling the S14 for a couple months now. I promised everybody that I was not going to get it. And everybody who knew me before I had an S chassis, they knew how much I wanted that car. And when I got the car, I was like, I'm never going to sell it. I'm never going to be like the people that like get cars and sell cars. And, you know, everybody misses their first S chassis. And specifically,
I do.
Everybody who has an S chassis always wants their first one back. Yeah. So I promised myself. But I'm contemplating breaking that promise just to get myself ahead in life. Yeah.
I mean, it is a thing. For other steps that you want to make, you might need to do that. But yeah, I feel that. So, but that was your first drift car or show car or street car, whatever you want to call it?
I started out with the Genesis. Okay. My mom bought it like 2015. She had it for a while. And when I turned 16, I was like, hey, Mom, I want a 240. This was back when 240s were like $2,000. I had found the specific one I wanted. S14 Kooky with an RB25 swap. It was painted MP3, which is the Midnight Purple, the version 3. And $2,000, right? I showed my mom. She's like, no, you don't even know how to drive stick. And I was like,
RB.
Well, I want to learn. She's like, well, you're not going to. So here you go. Here's a Genesis. And I rode that thing out until somebody like rear-ended me. And of course. Then I got the 240 after that one. That money came in. Nice. It was just enough.
Yeah, and so it's just cars were something you have always been interested in, and then once you were able to do it, you did it.
Not really.
No?
I come from a background of like mechanics, and my dad was a painter in Cuba.
Nice.
My grandpa was a painter. Everybody in my family has always been involved with mechanics at some point. When I got to America, my family kind of just like split. My parents went separate ways. I didn't really live with my dad. I lived mainly with my mom in Tampa. She found herself a man that was honestly the biggest blessing that I could have ever asked for. Even till this day, I consider him my dad. Like, I love my dad, but this is the guy that raised me. He taught me right from wrong. He taught me how to do pretty much everything. And I didn't want anything to do with cars. I didn't. Like, I wanted to have a normal life. And he was like, no, you're going to the truck yard with me. And I'm like, I don't want to go. And then I went. And then I never left. And then it was just like, hey, when are you coming back? When are we going to the truck yard? When are we working on it? And then that kind of, he's what opened up the world to me.
Yeah. And
if it wasn't for him, honestly, I wouldn't know where I would be at.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's awesome to hear. Because I have family that it's very similar situation to yours, and they treat their dad as their dad. Like, that is their dad. So,
yeah.
You know, that's awesome.
I think everybody deserves to have a role model, and he was my role model. And I called him the other day, and I'm like, hey, guess what I'm drinking? He's like, what are you drinking? I was like, I'm drinking the Stella at FD right now. He's like, you never liked those. And I'm like, I know, but I would always see you drinking it, so I'm going to try it out.
Nice.
And it was just like nostalgia. Like,
yeah.
You know, the things I would see him doing, I'm doing now. It's like I'm his mini-me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, though. That's great. Man. And now, I've always saw you, like, throwing the car around at the compound and stuff, but I've seen you at the track a lot more recently, so you're taking, now that you have the S13, you're taking drifting a little more seriously?
Yeah. And the way I started drifting, I gotta thank Camel. Like, I really do.
Yeah.
He just kind of just handed me the keys. Yeah. Like,
it's like, do it.
So with the 350Z, the color changing one, it was a super nice car. He didn't want to drift it, but then both of his cars blew up at the same time. And, you know, you got to get that fixed. And so he was like, I'm going to drift it, but I'm not going to crash it. I'm not going to do anything crazy with it. And then I painted it, and then he crashed it like a week later. And then he was like, all right, now that the car's totaled, I really don't care. Like, here you go. Here's the keys. And then that's when I started driving. That's when I officially started driving. It was in his 350Z.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I was building my own cars. I just, like, I didn't really have the money to. And he was like, why wait a year and a half for you to finish this? Like, just do your thing now. Learn. You're not going to get good overnight. So hopefully by the time you start driving, you'll be good enough, and this will teach you. And then he took me to the compound and went all over the place, and it destroyed the car even more. Yeah. That's like the party car right now.
Yeah.
The 350Z.
Yeah. I mean, I see both of y'all just taking turns. And even Steven, I've seen him before.
Yeah, Steven.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Unfortunately, he thought he blew up his car, but we think it has rod knock, not 100% sure, okay. But something's knocking, and he has been taking some off time as well. Yeah. It's his turn to rebuild.
It's needed for... Everybody takes turns with that process. Yeah.
Year on, year off.
Yeah. Dang. So you did mention that your family was into painting, but now you do some painting, some pretty crazy work. So what sparked you to get into that more recently now?
Honestly, it started out with my S14.
Yeah.
And this may be controversial, but I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way as me. I hate the color red on a 240. I absolutely hate it. There's been chassis that have just, you know, when you're...
I just hate the color red.
Even with the tan.
So I had to wrap mine again.
Even with the tans. Like, people hate the tans, like, with a passion.
Yeah.
And Camel's the same way. Like, I've met so many people who are like, I hate the red, I hate red. Not that it's an ugly color, just on that specific car, because they made so many red ones. Mm. And then you get a car, and then there's red overspray everywhere, and then you're like, I'm never going to get rid of this. Like, you're always going to see the red no matter what. Right. And I got a quote to paint it. It was like $8,000. And I was like, I can do this. Like, I have a compressor. I have a gun. And this was when I was painting the bathtubs. Okay. So I asked my boss, I'm like, hey, Jamil, can I borrow the compressor and the painting gun for like a week? That's and she's awesome. Like, you use it every day, bro. Like, why are you asking me? And I'm like, okay, bye. Like, thanks. So me and Camel sanded it down, and Mike, an old friend of mine, in my old house here in Orlando, sanded it down, painted it same night with a number 3 needle, which for all the painters that know, that's a really big, like...
Okay.
Usually you want to paint with a 1.4, so it's like double the size of what...
All right. Just a big hole.
Just a big hole, just... And then after that, I just like the artistic ability behind it. Like, you can make whatever you want with paint.
Yeah, you can.
You can start trends that you never knew. Like, and that's why I painted my wheels pink. Now, I'm not saying that people haven't painted their wheels pink. Like, fucking everybody has pink wheels. But who has pink VSKFs that you know of?
Yeah, I don't.
No one.
No.
So I wanted to spark, hopefully, the right people to do their 3-piece wheels, and specifically a crazier color. Because nobody's done that. And I wanted to do something a little bit different, you know?
I think it's, that 3-piece, leave it chrome.
Leave it,
the way it comes from the factory.
Yeah.
Because, I've never thought about painting. I've never had 3-piece wheels, but if I got them, I never even considered that. It's like, but I paint the wheels. I painted all my wheels white, and some of them came from factory that way, and my other ones, like, I just did with a rattle can because I don't care. But 3-piece is like, ooh, you don't know, but they look great. Like,
honestly,
great.
I love it, and I love the feedback on it. Like, I was at FD, and somebody was like, "Yo, you're the girl with the pink wheels," and I had just dropped the picture. It wasn't even 24 hours, and people were like, "You're the girl," and I'm like, "Yeah." And then he goes and pulls the boy, and he's like, "Yo, you remember those pink wheels I showed you earlier? That's the girl that painted them." And it just, like, it's a really good feeling, honestly.
Yeah.
And for people to be like, "You're the person that painted this," and recognize you. When we went to Mid Pond, you know Jake's car. We have the same color. Me, Jake, and Camel have the same color cars. All hatches, different motors, like, just different setups, but they're the same color, right? I painted his as well. And the only wish that Jake had was, "Hey, I'm going to pay you to do this, but you got to come to Mid Pond for my birthday." And I was like, "All right, cool, whatever. I'll use the money to take the 10-hour trip to Mid Pond," right? And we get there. They double booked us, unfortunately. We still had a lot of fun. But this guy comes up and looks at the 350Z. He's like, "That's a wrap." And I'm like, "No, buddy, that's a paint. Like, I painted that car." He's like, "Dude, no fucking way. Like, it looks so good. Like, wow." And I showed him my tricks. I gave him my tips. I gave him my connections. And then he goes, "I want to paint my hatch green." And I was like, "Oh, what kind of green?" He goes, "Let me pull out a picture," and then shows me Jake's car. And then I was like,
It was Jake's car
in my profile. I'm pretty sure it was my profile, but he showed me Jake's car. And I'm like, "Dude, you're not going to believe it." He's like, "What?" I was like, "I painted that car. Like, that's my work." And he was just like blown. I was like, Jake is here. He couldn't bring the car for A, B, and C reasons, but Jake is here. The owner of that car is here, and the painter is here too. And it was so cool. Like, 2 states away. Who would have thought, you know?
Yeah. It is, the more I'm into it, it is a small world. The drifting community in the States, especially at least in the Southeast and in Florida, it gets even smaller and smaller. Like, I think it's a good thing, and it does sometimes make some bad things happen, but I mean, you know, but yeah, that is pretty wild. Which that green, I mean, they look so sick all together, but that's not the first time somebody's painted a car green either.
Oh my God, here we go. I
didn't even think that would get brought up. But.
No, honestly, like, I do want to talk about that only because there's so many people in this world that, like, they claim a color and think that it's just theirs, and that's not how the way it works. Unfortunately, there's only a certain amount of colors in this world, right? But if you like your car your color, cool, enjoy it. But if somebody now if somebody asks you, "Hey, what color is it?" and you're like, "Hey, bro, like, I don't really want to share it," that's your thing. But if somebody goes and does it and you get mad at it, like, you don't have the right to that. Java Green, the original Java Green, was made by Volkswagen, I believe. And it wasn't even the color that we have today. It was a, like, dark forest green. I believe it had no pearls in it, but that is the original named Java Green. And then I believe Audi, BMW, and Volkswagen all adopted a lighter version, which is the Java Green. But even then, all of them have a different variation of it. It's never going to be exactly the same. But Buddy got mad for absolutely no reason because it wasn't even the same color. His color is a candy color, which is completely different. Like, you do a silver and then you do a color called candy, which is kind of like a highlighter. If you spray it once, you're going to get a certain amount of coverage. Spray it twice, you're going to get a darker color. And like that, you just layer the color on until you get the color that you really want.
Got it.
And doing that is like 10 years of experience versus doing my job with my color, Java Green, which is like you spray it and then you clear it and that's it. Completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. Only one person can have that color, I guess. Yeah.
It's so dumb because and that's a story for Camo to tell, but like he is forgotten. I don't even know who he is.
Oh, I don't know who. I just remember hearing about that when you guys first did it.
Like I know of him. I've never met him. I've never like talked to him. I've DM'd him, or he's DM'd me, correction, before me and Camo were ever a thing. And you know, just friendly conversation. I had no idea who he was. This was way before. I didn't even move to Orlando at this point. And there's a bunch of people in my comments going like, oh, you copied him. Like, you specifically went into his page and copied him. I'm like, dude, you did this in 2015. I was in 8th grade in 2015. You think I'm worried about cars? Like, I'm worried about doing my math homework. Again, that's exactly what I commented. I'm like, you think I'm worried about this, dude? I was in 8th grade doing math. And learning and trying to read, because at that point I wasn't very good at English. It's like I was trying to read, okay?
Right. Dang. Yeah. Well, it happens.
Yeah.
Well, so going off of paint, obviously you paint cars uniquely, a lot of Pearl stuff. What does style mean to you in drifting and with cars and stuff like that?
I think I'm getting more into my style era right now because my whole pink and green vibe that I got going on. Everybody has a different style, you know. I'm nobody to hate on anybody's style. Yeah. I definitely do judge because, you know, through a painter's point of view, there's certain things that look good together and there's certain things that don't. But I'm never gonna go up to somebody and be like, hey, your style, like what you have going on, it doesn't match, you know?
Right.
Unless they ask, then I'll be like, I feel like it'd look better in this. But, you know, that's your car.
Yeah.
But I think everybody should have, like, their own unique style when it comes to driving and when it comes to their, like, literal, aesthetics, like, looks of the car. Yeah. Everybody should have a muscle car. Everybody should have a clean car.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm on my clean car era.
Yeah. That's a little hard to have both, but yeah. I mean, you quickly jumped into. That's why I wanted to ask you about style because, like, you just stepped in to building a super clean car, painting it, having the wheels, like, looking good, and then just start going to the track. Like.
Yeah, and the first day that I went to the track, I hit a cone and my door's bashed in. Like it's not the biggest bash, but like there's like a little dent in my door. There's a dent on my quarter panel. My car is not the cleanest car by any means. If you really look at my car, it's aesthetically pleasing, but everything is bent on it. I got that car with, from what I know, when the right-hand drop swap happened, they hit something on the passenger side, which is our driver's side, like my passenger side. So you guys' driver. That side was bent. The subframe was bent. The rails were bent. My rear arms were bent. Like there was a lot of bent. If you take my quarters off, like you wouldn't even recognize my car because of how bad the quarters are.
Yeah.
They're destroyed.
Oh.
And that's why I don't take it off.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 30-year-old car. So, like, I think, like, drift cars especially, you give it that, like, 20 feet leeway. That, like, it's not a show car. It doesn't have to look good.
I would say give mine 5 feet.
5 feet?
I think 5 feet and back.
That's decent.
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, I really did try hard with that car. It took me forever. And I went and did everything correct. Like, there were so many holes. I took it to a shop and I was like, weld these fuckers up. He's like, you want me to weld 150 holes? I'm like, yes. Weld them up. And then I drilled all new holes for my body kit. I like completely redid my rear quarters. There was a bunch of cracks on my front front fenders. Everything that I had a problem with, I fixed. Whoever did the previous bodywork did literally fiberglass onto metal. And I was like, bro. And they didn't like do it correctly. So 6 hours I spent doing that.
Yeah.
On just one side. And then I gave up on the other side.
You just
You're
left
not
it?
going to see this.
Yeah. Yeah, if it's covered up.
Yeah.
But you know.
But I know.
Deep
So
down,
it bothers
you know.
me.
Yeah. Yeah, it would probably bother me too. Like, just because I know. Yeah.
That car actually was green before.
Oh, it was? Yeah.
Mm-hmm. The
Just
quarters were green.
Oh, darker shade or different?
No, I think it was a lighter shade of the same green, but I think it was more flat, so it didn't really have pearl in it.
Didn't pop. No. So what are your plans either for the car or any events you got coming up? Or
So currently I'm more focused on learning my style, like we were talking about.
Yeah.
I tandem once or twice with that car, and both times it was just me just trying to figure it out, you know. From this moment on, right now I'm kind of in like a little bit of a weird spot because of my job and trying to make a career for myself, same as Kashad, and we both put ourselves in crazy amount of debt so we can get ahead in life, and then got effed over by a previous job and basically spent the whole year like giving money to never get it back.
Yeah.
So what our plan is, well, my plan, hit a couple more events, learn my driving style. I'm more of like a wide driver, and that's kind of why I hit the wall. But
that's kind of a good, and not a good thing, but
no, it was
it's
meant
good to
to
go
happen.
wide. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you should be running a wide line.
And then that's what
So
I look at Camel and the way he drives, and I just be like, all right, I got to do that.
yeah.
And then it's two different complete cars. Like his car makes 550, mine's make 330. Like I'd be trying to drive Camel style when I should be driving SX Mel style. And it works out. Like Steven and Camel are like, dude, you're running the bro line, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you want to run.
Right.
So that's what I'm trying to focus on.
Yeah.
I'm trying to focus learning the bro line.
Yeah, proper line.
The proper line.
Yeah.
But I'm also trying to hit more outside events, like in the coming months. I'm planning on going to Louisiana,
Nice.
hopefully, and then drifting with a couple girls out there. And then
Cool.
there's another event the day after, so hopefully I'll be drifting there too.
Nice.
Mid Pond, trying to go up north for a little bit.
You did drive Mid Pond though, right?
I did drive Mid Pond,
Yeah.
yes.
How's that?
I didn't have enough experience for that,
Oh,
if
yeah.
I'm being
Oh, yeah.
honest.
Yeah.
Mid Pond is a very, very like long track. Like I underestimated how big it is. Like it's huge. There's a lot of monitoring that you have to do.
Okay.
Like in sections, you have to do some sections depending on your horsepower level, of course.
Right.
You have to do 2 to 3 manjis just to turn and be able to hit the
Right.
point right on time. The rumble strips will mess up your car. I DB'd like a tire the first lap.
Okay.
Camel broke his angle kit, like pulled out all the threads.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's a lot, but
Yeah.
it's definitely fun.
Yeah.
I think the track has a lot of
A
potential.
couple people have told me it's their favorite track that they've been to so far. So
It's super fun, especially in the rain. You can, and I like the way that they like the layout. It's like 6 people at a time, right? You can enter and leave whenever you want. So if you wanted to do 3-4 laps, you can.
yeah.
I'm not saying nobody's car can really do that, but the Z did it.
Yeah.
It was raining and Camel was just like 4 or 5 laps because nobody wanted to drive in the rain.
True. Yeah. Well, it rains down here, so I think it's good practice to drive in the rain.
You know what's crazy though? A lot of people don't know how to drive in the rain.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed a lot of people cannot handle themselves driving in the rain.
Well, I think it's that thing that they don't want to, or like they don't practice enough in the rain. Because the first time I was on the track in the rain, like it threw me off completely because I'm so used to just smashing it and like flicking it the way I normally flick
And
it.
you can't.
And you can't. Like
You
was a lot more just like yeah, nah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or just like a little bit, just yeah, like,
and then let the car do its own thing.
Yeah.
But I liked rain driving. It's fun.
It is.
It's hard. It's hard because you want to go hard, but you can't.
Yeah.
But in that, in my opinion, that excels your driving because you're driving so hard all the time, like full throttle,
So
clutch
fast.
kicking, like catch the wheel or you're gonna go into a wall versus learning patience in the rain. Like
doing the the same movement slowly really does like make them sink in your mind more. That's true. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, rain driving. Yeah. Final thoughts? Anything you want to ask or talk about before we close it out?
Yeah, what are you trying to do in the next 6 months? Like, as far as not only driving, but also, like, the podcast.
Yeah. Really invite as many drivers and local people that I've either met through my experience in drifting or that I've gotten to know and stuff and that I find interesting. Reaching out. A lot of people, like, will DM and, like, try to get on. And at this moment in time, like, I don't necessarily, not that, I don't want to sound like I don't need that, but I want to get people that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
So, yeah, like, just try to get as many as the homies and people that I've met through this journey on and talk to them. And then eventually, I've had a few people like, oh, I could get this person or this person. And not that I don't want that or that person. I just want to gradually get there and make sure that I get at least a lot of the local people that I want to talk to on first. So yeah, there's that. And then really this year with the car, it's going to be a little more about prep. I want to get a cage by the end of the year. And that's like the main goal. So that's
a really expensive goal.
I know. Which is what I'm saying. So.
Everybody now, and like I have a cage for my car. Like,
oh yeah.
I have an Enjuku cage. It needs to be like notched and whatnot, right? But when I first got a quote to put it in, MIS 14 at the time, $800. Oh, I was so ready, but I'm like, bro, I gotta get the car running first and whatnot. And then now I'm like, I don't really want to use that cage because I feel like I'm gonna get further with my S13. I want a custom cage, $3,500, which is a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. And I don't know how the Enjuku cage is with the 240, but I've sat in an Enjuku cage in 350, and maybe it was just how the seat was set up, or me being tall or whatever. But without a helmet, my head was like less than an inch away from the bar, and I was like, I don't want that. Like a cage ain't coming out.
Yeah,
so like
it has to be right the first time. I think it may be just who welded it in. The Enjuku cages do, but this is an old one. Like we're talking,
it too, yeah,
we're talking about like two different like timelines, because the old cages used to be super like tight when it came to the person. It wasn't very close to the chassis, and that's what I've realized. Right, when I would sit in a car that had an Enjuku cage that was from like 2012, 13, you feel like you're cramped more. But I feel like they have evolved a little bit better. Okay. I have sat in like a couple of them recently that were the newer versions, and it does feel 100% better.
That's good.
But either way, every time I get in a car with a cage, I hit my head on something. Yeah. So I feel like that's inevitable no matter what you do.
A little bit, yeah. And yeah, you're
and I'm tiny.
Short.
I'm really small.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, so I have a vacation coming up with my family.
Ooh.
And so had to take a little break from driving for that, once in a lifetime opportunity. So got to save up, and the Mediterranean. We're hitting.
Oh my God.
Greece, Italy, Spain.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, it should be once in a lifetime experience.
Take pictures.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. So that's coming up, and then. Yeah, coming back from that, we'll see how much I spend on the trip. So we'll see what I come back with or whatever. But the end of the year, I have to hit at least another track besides OSW this year. I made that one goal for sure, whether it's OKC, Skid Pad, or Showtime, one of those two.
Does it have to go? Do you want it to be in Florida, or do you
this year, yeah.
Okay.
Next year, once I have the cage, that's when I plan on the next step with the trailer, and then venturing out of Florida, going to Mid Pond, going to AMP, doing that southeast. That's like my plan for next year. This year is to get myself kind of set up for that. But I still, like, going to OKC or even Showtime, I could drive the Z there.
Yeah.
I've trailered the Z. When I went up to the firm, I trailered it. But it's close enough that I can still drive it, so... That's why
just enjoy your closer tracks while you can.
And try.
Because trust me, once you go out, it's not the same feeling.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to go to MPC, or no, CPM, Carolina, no, CMP, sorry, Carolina Motorsports. It's CMP, sorry, I'm dyslexic. I confuse a lot of stuff. For Grid Life, awesome. Their kart track, amazing. Their big track, their time is like crazy. It's something, and I was in the passenger seat, I wasn't even driving, but I can only imagine the adrenaline you feel when driving those tracks. Same with Mid-Pond. It's a lot of adrenaline. And I'm lucky enough to, we're going July 4th to the Drift HQ thing in Atlanta. And I just know that once I go there, and I love OSW, I do, but once you go there, it feels completely different.
Yeah. I mean, I got that I've been to the firm once, and it was a super fast track, and I got that feeling.
And then you go back to OSW, and you're just like, oh, this feels great, but like, it's not the same feeling.
Although, you're right. Although, at OSW, I didn't tandem at the firm. It was like way too gnarly and fast for me to want to tandem.
Yep.
But at OSW, I'm getting a lot closer and closer with my tandem. So I do like the skid pad in that aspect. And because of that, like, I'd like to try OKC's layout. Like, oh, it's just a parking lot or a skid pad. I'd like to try their layout. They have a cool little figure eight. I want to try it. And same with Showtime. Like, people either talk good or bad about it, but I want to go there and see it for myself. Like,
they're super cool tracks, to be honest. You need to try it. It's a whole different level.
Yeah.
Hopefully, I'll try it next year too.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm just passenger princess.
Yeah.
I'm not experienced enough to hit those tracks. Alex almost killed me in Carolina. Like,
what do you mean?
Have you not seen the video? Like,
I mean, I saw Chrissy's fire.
No. Okay, that happened, and that was an accident. Like,
that was gnarly. I watched Kashad's video and the footage in there.
It's so sad.
It's wild.
It's so sad. I'm so happy that him and Apex were perfectly fine. But when you're in that moment, and I don't know what it feels like, but just hearing all the guys talking about it, just when you're in the moment of that fire, you don't know what to do.
Right.
Like, you know what to do. Just pull the extinguisher, pull it out. But it's not like that.
You've never been in that real position.
I've never been in that real position, but I'm sure not a lot of people haven't either.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, even the person there, like, I know what to do, but when it happens, like, it's never really happened. So you kind of like, ooh. Not to mention that his fire was a nitrous fire, so once it's lit up, it doesn't really go away unless the nitrous is cut off, and that's what he did. He tried to put it out. He used his whole extinguisher. Luckily, Kashad was there. Kashad has so many experience with fires, and that's not even funny. Like, this man has caught every single car he has on fire. Like, not bad, but just something always happens. It's not funny, but you saying it that way.
Well, I mean, there's times where things catch on fire at the shop, and me and whoever's there's like, guys, there's a fire. Like, we need to grab an extinguisher, and Camel will just be like, I mean, guys, pass me some water. Like, it's not that big of a deal. And then we're just like freaking out, and Kashad is just so calm. Yeah. And the same thing with Chrissy. Like, he was so calm. But Alex, the very last lap of the day, you're entering like 80, 90 miles an hour.
Whoa.
It's like a sharp left turn. Like, and Kashad went super wide and then super shallow. And then Alex went super wide, but he went super wide because Kashad went so shallow, he couldn't see anything because of the smoke. And all I see is this. Like this. Kashad's right here, and Alex, like, taps his bumper, and then we go off track. And there's a video of the GoPro footage where you can see it. He, like, bent his exhaust, and then there's, like, 2 scrapes on his bumper. Imagine if he wouldn't have, like, went wide.
Yeah.
He would have been, like, done. Like, both of those cars would have been done.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Well, good driving of them.
They're both good drivers.
They're both amazing drivers, yeah, so.
Alex is scary, though.
Yeah. I haven't been in my car with him. Yeah.
He just doesn't care. He'd just be like, okay, I'm gonna pull here.
Yeah. Here.
Yeah.
Dang. Well, it's been great talking with you, getting to know you. And if you guys like this episode, drop a comment, leave a thumbs up. Go subscribe, follow on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, SXMel. We'll catch you next time, fam.
See you guys.
Peace.